I mean, that last part where he's like, "You're a real piece of S." Like if a piece of S pooped a piece of S and married another piece, like, and it pooped, you're that S. Like Cliff and Chandra here from Not Gospel Studios. It's Friday, and this is the Not Gospel Podcast. We are talking about rap beef, hip hop beef, particularly Mac Lethal and Tom MacDonald. What's this beef about? How did it start? We'll have links to videos for all these songs in this description of this video, but we're going to dive into it. This is Not Gospel. One of the Hangover Gang fans that is on that follows our channel, I can't remember which one, they said that the beef between Tom MacDonald and Mac Lethal, they said that he regretted that beef and said because of that, there's things he had to say, dark places he had to go to, and feelings and emotions that created him that he regretted, and because of that, he said he'd never do another one of those beefs again, is what they said.
Tom MacDonald said?
They said that that's what he was on record for saying.
I agree.
So
I agree. I'm saying from what I understand about Tom MacDonald, I can see him saying that because I was surprised by some of the things he said. I didn't expect it of his character. I liked it at the time because I was like, oh, he spanked him. But then I can see him regretting it.
Yeah, and he even said in one of the songs, "The Lord is my Savior, but revenge is really tempting," or something like that. And so, if He doesn't let me into heaven, I get it.
Have you ever heard of Mac Lethal? I had never heard of him before.
I had never heard of Mac Lethal up until this, and so I did some research and kind of saw that some of the things they talked about a lot that they talked about in this rap battle was legit.
How did you research? Like I went to Reddit.
You went to Reddit. You probably did the better research. I just Googled or YouTubed Tom MacDonald, Mac Lethal beef, and then it took me to Mac Lethal's channel, and then I got to see some of his rapping, and I understand that he's like a speed rapper and a freestyle rapper,
and he's known for being able to do all the different styles of rap.
The other styles of rap, which some of his most popular YouTube videos are those rap imitations. So I feel like as Christians and as quasi-fans of Tom MacDonald, people who have dipped their toes in Tom MacDonald's fandom and his music catalog, let's give our takes on this beef here.
Well, okay. I want to outline it.
All right.
I want to say
that's important.
How I understand that this all went down was it started on Twitter.
Yes.
As most spots do. Apparently, Tom MacDonald released a song, and then the Mac Lethal guy started leaving these vague comments that sounded like they were about Tom MacDonald. So Tom MacDonald confronted him.
Wasn't it he released Straight White Male? Was it that song Straight White Male that came out?
Yeah.
Yes.
And so shots fired on Twitter.
Yes. So Mac Lethal came out with a tweet that essentially said this white rapper who raps about who wears braids and culturally appropriates, it even said, with wearing his hair in braids, and raps about how white people are oppressed and all this kind of stuff. He's like, I don't know his name. I'm not going to learn it. His aesthetic is incredibly weak, and just really kind of slammed this unnamed rapper.
Yeah.
And so then
everybody knew who it was.
Yeah, and Tom MacDonald responded with... And
when he responded with his video, he brought the receipts. Like, at the beginning of the video is all the Twitter stuff that went down.
Yeah. And, well, he showed the response on Twitter is like, blah, 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 whatever. And he kind of bashed him a little bit on that response. And then Mac Lethal, his response was like, I was talking about a small rapper. I wasn't talking about you. Which was a load of crap.
Like, he would insult him and then backpedal and be like, oh, but you're cool.
Yeah.
And then insult him again.
He was like, I was talking about a way smaller local rapper, but you are huge and your aesthetic is really cool looking. You do great, real legit videos, but also you're whack. Yeah. Like, it was just, you knew it was him. He was backpedaling. It came off so incredibly weak.
So then Tom MacDonald released a song.
Yes.
What's it called? Lethal Injection.
Lethal Injection.
Which is funny.
It's really funny.
And then What's-His-Face came out with Single White Female.
He came out with Single White Female, and then Tom MacDonald came out with Mac Lethal Sucks, and then Mac Lethal came out with Mac Lethal Sucks Part 2.
Which, I was like, you know what? He knew What's-His-Face, Tom MacDonald, was getting more
Well, we got to talk about this. Hold on.
So he titled it the second
I know,
one to get those views.
Well, we got to talk about this in succession. So, and then finally, Tom MacDonald did no response, and that was kind of like the end of it. Although, in my opinion, it was kind of over with Part 2.
Yeah.
When he did Mac Lethal Sucks Part 2, and he did it the way he did it, it's like, come on, man. But we'll get to that. So what we want to do is kind of analyze who do we think won, and you're over there already ready to dish it out. Like, who won?
My breath smells like kombucha. And I thought there was a dead animal over here. I was like,
it's your breath. I thought there was a dead animal. I'm just breathing.
I was like, there's a dead mouse under your couch. And then I was like, I tried kombucha.
You better not say that. You better not say that. So instead of playing the songs on the podcast or anything like that, we decided, because there is some explicit material and stuff, let's look at some of the bars that are like more...
Oh, bars.
Yeah, bars. That's what they call them. I got to get hip with the lingo, Chandra. After that beef goes on back and forth between them on Twitter for a little bit, he released, and of course Mac Lethal kind of backpedaled and said, I wasn't really talking about you. Tom released Lethal Injection. Leave me alone, you old man. Your career is a joke. It's so sad. Your biggest record is a cover song. While you're cooking breakfast, you ain't no dad. Housewife. Washed up. Never ever had a sound. How you rap with ICP and still end up the biggest clown.
That's a pretty bad burn there.
That's a pretty bad burn. Wow, look at you now. I'm selling out shows in your town. Your demographic are all old ladies. You don't appeal to a younger crowd. You ain't mainstream. You ain't underground. You're a specific brand of effing lame. That's a really mean one. Hella boring. How you say so much and have nothing to say. Oh, man.
Which, that's one of the things we say about him so often is, in just one sentence, he'll pack in so much information. Like, he says so much with such little time. And the other guy does the exact opposite. He'll rap for paragraphs and not say much.
Yeah, so obviously lots of good bars, interesting, compelling stuff. He did a good job with the song. If his goal was to really bash somebody, which it was to bash Mac Lethal.
Well, I thought he definitely did get him good in this song. But in the next one that he did, he was a lot meaner in the second one for sure.
Well, and there's a reason for that, I think.
Oh, yeah, he upped the ante.
So then Mac Lethal releases Single White Female as his response. I got a little story about a single white female. Her name is Tammy, but you'll need some fine details. She gets up on the internet and argues with strangers because inside she's full of insecurity and anger. It's funny because he's been showing pictures of Tom with long hair this whole time. How are you going to let a little tweet hurt your feelings? Did I bruise your ego, little girl? What are you revealing?
He did tweet that.
Oh, so he's admitting this. Like, it's on now, so he's admitting it. White on white violence. Dang, it's snowing. You're the effing rap equivalent of Candace Owens.
I think that was the best line.
I hear... Oh, what's the matter, Meth Lamore? You need another stupid white boy gimmick to move some units out the record store? You lie about your height. You're not 6'5", you little man. You look like Kid Rock had a meth baby with Lil Xan. So anyways, by the end of this video, he proceeds to show images of Tom and his amateur wrestling career. And he was...
I love that.
Yeah, and he was in compromising positions with other men in tights.
Out of those two songs, who do you think won of those two songs?
I'm a fan of Tom MacDonald, but just out of those two songs, I think that Mac Lethal won.
No.
Yes.
No
Out of those two songs. I feel like that
I can't believe you just said that.
I feel like Mac Lethal had...
Well, see, I always wondered why people like dumb things. Maybe you can explain to me.
Like dumb things. And I think you're just jaded by the fact that you do have a married lady crush on Tom MacDonald.
No, I think it was funnier. I liked his style better. And I think he keeps his rhythm cleaner and stuff. He is more commercial, more pop. I'm talking about Tom MacDonald, obviously. And the other guy, he muddles his... Like, he changes up his rhythms mid-sentence, and he muddles up his rhymes and stuff. I don't like the way he does that.
Well, see, here's why I think that Mac Lethal's was better. I feel like Mac Lethal's was better because Tom MacDonald was responding to the Twitter war.
Yeah.
With a song. Mm-hmm. Mac Lethal was responding to a song with another song.
With a worse song.
I feel like Tom MacDonald won the Twitter beef with the song. But then Mac Lethal upped the ante with another song. And that's when he was the first one to mention their ladies, like their wives or whatever, and girlfriends. He brought in Nova and talked about her and other rappers
Well, that's another
knowing
reason.
her in the biblical sense.
That's one of the reasons I think he also lost is Tom MacDonald did mention the guy's daughter.
Yeah.
But not in a bad way. He was just more talking about him as a father. He wasn't saying anything bad about the daughter. And then he mentioned the Insane Clown Posse, but he didn't put down the Insane Clown Posse. He was putting down that guy. So both times he insulted the guy. And then in the second song, the guy turned it back around on Tom MacDonald like, you insulted my daughter. You insulted the Insane Clown Posse. And just basically lied about the situation. Like, he twisted everything.
Well, see, I didn't see that as much as I feel like he had every right to say something about him mentioning his daughter. Tom did mention his daughter and mentioned him being a bad dad or not a dad or whatever else like that.
But that was an attack on him.
So
not
Tom
on the
made
daughter.
it a little personal with that.
Yeah, I made it personal.
Yes, and so he brought out some things that he knew, and Mac Lethal, to Mac Lethal's credit, he was the first one to mention that they had mutual friends, that that those mutual friends let some dirt about Tom and Nova and all this or whatever.
Well, those aren't Tom MacDonald's friends if they're saying that stuff.
Well, I don't know, because Tom MacDonald in the next song talks about mutual friends seeing the text with him. And he did mention things that saying, and this could be just a total dig, saying that Nova ghostwrites half his songs, which even if him and Nova write together, I've co-written so many times, it's fine. I don't care.
Well, he says in the third one that, she does the hook with him.
Yeah. Stylistically, I felt like it was very tight, it was very close, but I felt like Mac Lethal, he had a bigger burn on Tom MacDonald than Tom MacDonald had on Mac Lethal with the first two songs. But I feel like that's because Tom MacDonald set a precedent with the first song because everything else was just Twitter beef.
Yeah.
And so Mac Lethal looked at that and said, okay, I'll beat it.
Well, and I feel like it's more listenable too. Like I said, he's more commercial. Like, I just enjoy it more.
Yeah.
It sounds better.
Well, and then we get to the next songs. Now, Mac Lethal...
I still have something I want to say. Though.
Oh, I'm sorry.
What I want to know. How tall is Tom MacDonald?
Well,
Did he say he was 6'5"?
I doubt he's 6'5". Unless he says he's 6'5" and he knows it. The only reason I doubt that is because I know I'm by the way, if Tom MacDonald ever watches this or Hog fans watch this, I'm a huge fan of pro wrestling. I've been for a long time. The Attitude Era was my jam, and the Stone Cold and Rock beef that they had back and forth, that was my favorite rivalry. However, knowing that, I know that they do have a tendency to exaggerate both the heights and the weights of their wrestlers to make them seem bigger than life.
Online says he's 6'1".
See, maybe he's 6'1", which would make more sense. But
the other guy said he was 5'8".
It would make sense that they would. If he was 5'8", unless he was a luchador, he doesn't have much of a career in wrestling.
I know.
There are very few.
I
kind of
wish
wrestlers.
he was 6'5" though.
Really,
because that would be impressive.
Well, I mean, man.
6'1's impressive.
Yeah,
but 6'5" guys who also have that broad back and stuff.
You gotta see.
That's like Aquaman.
You're just continuing to further my case that you are like got a
talking about
married lady crush.
Rappers. I mean.
Oh, wrestlers. So you got a married lady crush on all professional rappers?
Wrestlers. I was talking about the largeness.
Oh, man. Anywho. All right, so after Mac Lethal's song, the only place that Tom MacDonald won, in my opinion, between those two songs was the aesthetic of his song, because it was a legit music video. Him and Nova always do legit music videos.
Yeah.
And the thing with Mac Lethal's is it looked like something I would do, sitting in the studio, putting up these little images, right? Like, it was very, very low production value.
And I think that was almost a diss to Tom MacDonald, because he was like, I'm not even going to make a video response that's worth anything. Like...
I don't know that, because the majority of his views or majority of his videos on YouTube seem like low production. I mean, he's in there rapping really fast while he's making pancakes, and he's just got one camera up rapping really fast. That was kind of his vibe, like the home vibe. Now, when you get to the next song, Mac Lethal Sucks, without question, I feel like Tom MacDonald smacked him on that song, Mac Lethal Sucks. Yeah. It was brutal. I mean, even so much so, Mac Lethal got to talking about the money, and he's like, I'm worth millions. I've got my own house, a big swank house, and my kids go to private school, and I got my own pool and all this kind of stuff. And then Tom MacDonald's like, checked out the bankroll stuff. You're worth $2 million. I'm worth $12 million. Like, I've got you whooped on all that. Yeah. And talked about how other rappers, friends that they had, helped him write his comeback song against Tom. And the aesthetic was killer, because him and Nova did the video.
Yeah.
So between those 3 songs, Tom MacDonald won going against the Tweets with a song. But then I think Mac Lethal upped the ante and beat that song. Personally, I feel like he did. And then Tom MacDonald came right around and whooped him with Mac Lethal Sucks.
I think that Mac Lethal Sucks. He went so hard in it that, I mean, I think he literally verbally killed him. Like, he assaulted him.
Yeah, it was rough. I mean, that last part where he's like, "You're a real piece of S." Like, if a piece of S pooped a piece of S and married another piece, like, and it pooped, "You're that S."
Yeah.
Like, he brutalized him.
He used his humor to tear him down.
Yes.
But also when he was talking about that wrestler that murdered his whole family.
Now, he called him Chris Benoit.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Smash your career like Stone Cold and 2 beer cans or whatever. Like,
and
he
then
used elements that.
And he did a whole verse about murdering that guy's bird.
Yeah.
and
he took everything that Mac Lethal had mentioned, he owned it and pounded it in the ground.
Oh, yeah.
For sure.
And I think his stylistic choices were on purpose.
Yeah.
Like the first one he did, everything was real slow. Like, we're not getting a speed rap battle here.
Yeah.
He's like, I want you to hear what I'm saying to you.
Well, and then he's... Yeah. And Tom MacDonald speed rapped in the very end of that second song.
Yeah.
It was like...
He's like, hey, if you want to go that route, I can go that route.
I'll speed rap, yeah. And personally, for my taste, in my opinion, that's where he kind of... It took away a few... Even though I still think he beat Mac Lethal with that song, that was not as good to me. I felt like he should have stayed in his element, done his thing, never played Mac Lethal's game. And I understand the thing.
I know what you're
Do
saying.
it so you can.
Yeah.
But I felt like that wasn't as good as his usual thing of really driving home his points. And you're like, yeah, you know?
Yeah.
So, but he did... I understand. He did it so everybody can know he can do it. So that's my take on that. No, is that kind of how you feel about it? Like, he just...
Yeah, he killed it.
Yeah.
Like, it was an awesome song.
But
it was so violent. It was so horrible that I see why he doesn't want to do it anymore.
Yeah.
That's a bad headspace to be in. And that's kind of what I want to talk about going into next to. What's it?
Mac Lethal Sucks Part 2.
Yeah. It was like a poor, pitiful me type thing. Like, it was a different headspace.
So here's the problem with Mac Lethal Sucks Part 2 is he basically owned everything that Tom MacDonald said and proved it by branding his comeback with the song in the hopes that Tom MacDonald's fans would click on it and watch it. He wanted clicks because Mac Lethal Sucks went big and went viral. Several million views by that point. So then he responds with Mac Lethal Sucks Part 2.
Yeah.
And
to get those clicks.
And
he also made a better video out of it.
And he upped the ante of his video, which, again, made it felt like he's trying to play catch-up to Tom MacDonald's aesthetic.
And he can't get there.
Right. So...
Nova Rockefeller's too good for that.
Yeah, and it was just, like you said, a pity party. It kind of felt like, I really want this rap battle to end before he really assaults my life and turns me into ash. So I'm going to make a pity party about, I'm a legit rapper who's been doing this a real long time, and I got value and respect and this kind of thing. And...
Well, in 8 Mile, where Eminem was like, whatever they're going to say about you, you just go ahead and admit it all, and then you go on, and then they can't say anything else.
Yeah.
I think he was playing that hurt puppy dog type thing.
He was, because Tom MacDonald talked about drug addiction and all these kind of things.
That was another thing. I kind of felt weird about him coming at him so hard at the drug thing when he's so positive about people getting off drugs.
He said, you're the kind of guy who can't have a beer without relapsing, was one of the lines Tom MacDonald said.
And then getting doing a thingy for a thingy.
Yeah. Doing a thingy for a thingy.
Like, it got bad.
I ain't gay, but $20 is $20. So yeah, the problem with Mac Lethal's response to Tom MacDonald and the Mac Lethal Sucks Part 2 is that it just was like this pity party to try and end the battle because he knew he lost. It was almost like an acceptance of defeat.
Yeah.
And in a one way, that's respectable. Like, he could have went on an interview or made an online post and said, y'all, I started this beef with Tom MacDonald and he roasted me, destroyed me.
Yeah.
And I admit it.
Do you think he admits to people?
I don't know that if he admits privately, wouldn't do nearly as much for his reputation if he would admit it publicly.
Yeah.
If he would just say, I started this beef with him, he wrecked me, hats off to Tom MacDonald, he's a legit rapper. If we can put our past aside, I'd love to sit down and chat with him someday about where we agree and disagree. That might have been fantastic for him.
Yeah.
But that would take, your ego would have to take a back step. To do that. But he didn't do that. Instead, he had this pity party about, hey, I'm going to hopefully get some clickbait and make a video about how all of my past and all the issues and demons I wrestled with, and hopefully Tom doesn't come at me anymore. And so Tom responded with no response.
Which it was in response to that, but also not, which I guess is what's called no response.
Yes.
Because he starts talking about everybody, but he also does target Mac Lethal a little bit also. But similarly, it is about, hey, I don't come from much, and he talks about humble beginnings and stuff.
Yes.
But instead of it being a pity party, he turns it into this triumphant type thing.
Yeah,
and I like that about his attitude and his mentality.
Yeah, well,
I like his character better than Mac Lethal's character.
Well, the thing is, Mac Lethal left the whole thing where Tom could do whatever he wanted. Tom could still come at Mac Lethal if he wanted with another song bashing him. But the problem, and Tom was smart, at that point, if you do that, you look like a bully.
Yeah.
Because Mac Lethal kind of played the victim with his video. So if you come at him real hard, you look like the bully. But what he did, instead coming at all of his hate, everyone who's ever hated him and been like, I don't care. I do this all myself, me and Nova and whatever. Like, it's our team and blah, blah, blah. It's like, it was a victory dance, essentially.
Yeah.
But it was like, it was like a sportsmanship victory dance.
Yeah.
Like, I'm a good sport. I whooped your tail. I'm out. Not like, I whooped your tail. You suck really bad. You know what I mean? Like, he wasn't trying to steal the guy's joy. He knew he won. In my opinion, yes, Tom MacDonald won the whole beef. But I do feel like there were battles that swayed one way or the other throughout.
There were a couple Mac Lethal lines that I was like, oh, that was a good line. But overall, I didn't think he measured up. Because for every one line that he had that was good, Tom MacDonald had like 20 lines that was good. You
get 2 full songs of Tom MacDonald just smashing Mac Lethal, and you get 1 song of Mac Lethal coming at Tom because he realized he got beat. But so I think had Mac Lethal Sucks Part 2 been like a real let's duke it out, maybe you'd have seen more of his talent in the exchange. But it wasn't. It was like I lost interest in it because it felt like such a pity party. You know, so. Well,
I think he was making fun of him for his wrestling career too, which I don't think that's something to make fun of. I think it's hilarious, and I think seeing his showmanship and stuff, I could see him being in that realm. It'd be hilarious.
Well, yeah, but that's again, that is the minority opinion. If you're not a wrestling fan, you basically have zero respect for it. You feel kind of like Mac Lethal. Like, what are they doing? Play fighting around in tights, like with guys, like sweaty men just play fighting, knowing the outcome. And they don't look at it like I do or other people. That's just, it's legit stunt work.
Yeah,
it's a legit. Yes, the outcomes are predetermined. Yes, there are fake storylines. It's not really this guy's girlfriend and brother and whatever. Like, they're playing characters, but it's stunt work, and people die doing it. So
it's a big show. I like it.
Yeah, but the common thing with a lot of people, if you're not a wrestling fan, is that's just play fighting, you know. And why are they doing it? Just half-naked men play fighting. So thank you guys so much for hanging in there with us on this podcast. Let us know what you think about this stuff. If you're a member of Hangover Gang and you just want to come out there and talk about how much you can't stand Mac Lethal or whatever, write it in the comments. Keep it family friendly if possible. Or if you have a different opinion, we want to know what you guys think about this. Who won? Where were the exchanges that were the most interesting? And if you have any insider insight on Tom MacDonald or the beef in general, or things he said in interviews, please let us know. Don't forget to like, share, comment, and subscribe. Continue to support quality independent content. And as always, keep being awesome, because that's how God made you.